Hello, my name is Lulu and this is Loop-de-Loo Handmade Crochet. Today I'd like to show you how I make these crosses. I've been making cross bookmarks for friends, family, people that I meet in doctor's offices, etc. for several years now, and people keep asking me how I make them. So today I'd like to share that process with you. This is the cross we're going to be making, and I make it out of number 10 crochet thread. My favorite yarn to make these crosses from is Bella Cotton by Feza Yarns. You can also make them out of any crochet thread. If you want a larger like keychain, you could actually make it out of worsted weight and an appropriate hook. Today I'm going to be using a 1.75 millimeter hook. You'll also need a small sized sewing needle that is about the same diameter as the yarn you're going to be using. You could use a darning needle if you were going to use worsted weight yarn. You'll also need some scissors and something to block your final cross with. When you finish making the cross, it is going to look very wonky. That's normal. Crochet stitches tend to be that way, and of course cotton blocks out beautifully using an iron, wet blocking, and I just use a flat iron made for hair. Actually, I just don't use it for ironing my hair. I use it for ironing my crosses with. Okay, so let's get started. Just need to find the end of my yarn. And to begin, we're going to make a slip knot. Please forgive me, I have never made a video before, so it's a little bit fiddly. When I make my slip knots, I usually just make an X, go under the first loop, grab that top loop, and pull through. Tighten it up. And now we're going to chain 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'll do my best to show you exactly how I'm making mine. I actually go through the bottom loop of the very first chain, and I'm going to slip stitch back into my first stitch on the hook to make a ring. I like to carry my yarn one round around, so I just actually catch it with the very first stitch, and I'm going to make one single crochet inside the loop. Next, I'm going to make another single crochet. This is a stacked single crochet. I'm going to make another single crochet into that front loop of that first crochet. It's actually not a loop, it's a leg. The left leg of that. And now we've got a double crochet. If you prefer, you can just use a chain 3, but I personally like the look of a stacked single crochet. And now I have my tail to crochet over, completely attached inside there. Okay, I'm going to make a 3 double crochet cluster, or 3 double crochets, I'm sorry, inside the loop. And forgive me, that's my grandfather clock telling me that it is now 11 a.m. So now I have 3 double crochets. Actually, it's a stacked single crochet and 2 double crochets. I'm going to chain 1, and I'm going to make 3 more double crochets. Okay, so now you can see where we've made it so far. We've got our stacked single crochet, 2 double crochets. Next we have a slip stitch or a chain, and then we have 3 more double crochets. Gonna keep on. Going to make another chain and 3 more double crochets. And 1 more chain. And I'm going to make sure to catch my tail again in this last 3 double crochets we're about to make. Ooh, goodness. Let's see if I can hold that out of the way. Okay, 1 double crochet, 2 and 3. I'm going to make 1 more chain, and we're going to slip stitch into the stacked single crochet. So if you look at this cluster, you've got 1, 2, and 3. It's actually your first, you count them backwards, but that's your stacked single crochet. We're going to go under both legs and slip stitch. So far we have our stacked single crochet, 2 double crochets, a chain, 3 double crochets, a chain, 3 double crochets, a chain, 3 double crochets, a chain, and slip stitch back, and we've made a full circle. Now I do realize that this is a rather large loop at the beginning, but I try to make this pattern so that I can remember it and that others can remember it easily. I use numbers according to biblical numerology to make this pattern. And if you're not familiar with that, basically it's just the study of the way that God uses numbers in the Bible. For instance, the number 7 is the number that signifies perfection, completion, and divine fulfillment. The next number I'm going to use is the number 3. 3 shows up a lot in the Bible. A lot of people, it also will mean completeness. The Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, the Divine Trinity, harmony, the resurrection. Jesus was resurrected after 3 days. So you'll see lots of 3s and 7s repeated in this project. That's the reason why it's easier for me to remember than other patterns that I have seen. Again, it has made a large loop, but you can cinch it up by pulling the tail. We'll leave this tail to complete until the completion of the project, and I'll show you how I weave in my ends to make a nice complete project. And you won't have to worry that anything is ever going to fall apart. Okay, this pattern, we're going to turn every single row. Once you start making these, you'll realize that it has a very easy rhythm to it, and you will be like me and make hundreds of these. To start the next row, we're going to chain 1, and we're going to turn it over. We're going to be working into this very first chain stitch, and we're going to make a single crochet into that space, that chain space. Then again, we're going to make a stacked single crochet. So you're going to go into this left leg of that single crochet, and you're going to pull up a loop, and then you're going to yarn over and pull through 2. Again, we have that stacked single crochet that's representing my first double crochet in each row. Now we're going to make 2 more double crochets, we're going to chain 1, and we're going to make 3 more double crochets all into that same chain 1 space. Now you can see that we have 3 single crochets, our chain space, and 3 more single crochets. I'm going to chain 1 again, and we're going to do the same thing for each corner. Each corner is going to have 3 double crochets, a chain 1 space, and 3 double crochets. We're going to chain 1 between each corner. Continue on with 3 double crochets, chain 1 and 3 double crochets, another chain 1, and repeat the corner one more time, and I'll come back. Okay, we have made it back around. We've completed all 4 corners, and after this last corner, going to chain 1, and then we're going to slip stitch again back into the very first stitch, which was our stacked single crochet. Sometimes you have to push it through, help it along. Now, got a neat little square. If you hold it this way, we're fixing to start holding it like a little neat diamond. But as I said earlier, every row is going to be turned. So we're going to chain 1, we're going to turn it, and we're going to hold it like a diamond with the corners pointing up and down. We're going to single crochet into our chain space, and then we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to start building our cross. We've basically made it to here. We're going to start with this first leg of the cross, or the right arm, whichever you prefer to call it. We're going to go up this way, oops, so we're going to start right here, making a 3 double crochet. One. And I do realize that crocheting with thread can be a little bit fiddly. I actually started out crocheting with thread. So I find that it helped me to be able to learn how to tension properly. But I also have arthritis, and it tends to be easier on my joints to crochet smaller things. The weight of the project itself does not add tension to my joints. Okay, so after turning, we had our square, we turned, we single crocheted into the space. We've made 3 chains, and then we went into 3 double crochets into this corner space. Can't really see it until I open it up, but we've made 3 double crochets, 1 chain space, and 3 more double crochets. Like I said, we are going up on this portion of the cross. So we need to turn again. We're going to chain 1, and turn our work. This may be a bit orthodox the way I do it, but it is the way I do it. I actually slip stitch into this middle double crochet. I skip the first stitch, I crochet into this middle crochet. I'm just going to slip stitch into it. And I'm going to slip stitch directly into the center of that chain space from the row before. Because what I'm going to do is work up from the middle. I'm going to chain 1, and I'm going to make a stacked single crochet into that chain space. So again, you single crochet, you go under the left leg of that same single crochet, you pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2, and you have a double crochet. Now I'm going to make 2 more double crochets. My yarn has tangled and brought my cross with it. Give me just a moment while I untangle. Now I'm going to make a chain, and I'm going to put 3 more double crochets into that same chain space. 1, 2, and 3. Now you can start to see that we're getting somewhere. But where do we go from here? The way that I make these crosses is to keep this line continuing up one side, and you'll see the other side will remain just your little triangles that's made there from or your edges of your squares from your double crochets. So in order to keep this line continuous, we're going to make a treble crochet. That's 2 wraps around the hook. We're going to go into this large chain 3 space, and make our treble crochet. Now you can see that that actually makes the same height as that chain 3 for me. Now we are going to chain 3 and turn our work, and you'll see that this line is still making it all up the same side. This is going to be the last of the 3 double crochets of this side. Not sure if you can see that. Making this with a slightly larger hook, so it will be a little bit bigger. My to-go bag contains a 1.5 millimeter crochet hook, so that's what I made the pink crosses from. You can see how we've come so far. Now that we've chained 3, we're going to make another cluster of 3 double crochets, a chain 1, and 3 double crochets. Get everything untwisted. Again, if this is too fiddly for you to learn using crochet thread, feel free to make a larger project using worsted weight and an appropriate sized hook. Again, now you can see that we've actually turned the corner of this cross. We've made our initial square. We've made our 3 steps on this side. We're going to come back and keep this line, mirror it on this side. So we're going to chain 3, and then we're going to slip stitch into that last double crochet. We're going to chain 3 more, and we'll slip stitch into that, and then we'll chain 3 more and single crochet back into here. So chain 3. This is a little bit fiddly. Sometimes you have to turn it sideways. I actually turn this towards the front because I can find the loops easier to single crochet through. I'll show you again. This first single crochet that's at the very edge, I flip it over to find both of the loops to make my slip stitch through. Now I'm going to chain 3. And I'm going to slip stitch onto this corner. Having to nudge it, it doesn't want to go. Let me try that again. Again, you may have to twist your work just so you can see the 2 loops to slip stitch under. And now we're going to make our last chain 3, and we're going to single crochet again. Now you can see we've made it all the way, completed the right side. We're going to do the exact same thing for the top side and for the left side. We're going to start with a chain 3. Three double crochets. Oops. Chain 1 and 3 double crochets. You can count to 3, which sometimes when you're crocheting it's hard to count, but 3 is a pretty reasonable and easy number. Then you can make 3/4 of this cross. If you can count to 7, you can make the whole thing. Okay, now we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. We're going to slip stitch again in that middle double crochet to the top of it. And then we're going to slip stitch into the chain 1 space. We're going to chain 1 and do our stacked single crochet again. Make 2 more double crochets. Chain 1 and 2 to 3 more double crochets. Now that we've finished our 3 double crochets, our chain 1 and our 3 double crochets, you can see that we're on the back side and we've got to keep this side line moving up. So in order to do that, we're going to treble crochet. That's 2 wraps around the hook. Go into your 3 chain space and pull up a loop, and then yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. And hope not to lose it off like I did, but it is crochet. You can put it right back on. And now we're going to continue with this side line. We're going to chain 3. And we're going to turn. Just like on the first side, we're going to do 3 double crochets, a chain 1, and 3 double crochets into this same space. Now we're going to continue down this side with our chain 3s and our slip stitches. So 1, 2, 3 chains. Again, sometimes you have to turn it to the front to be able to see that edge stitch so that you can get under both loops of it. We're going to slip stitch, and then we're going to chain 3, and slip stitch. Under both of these loops. And we're going to chain 3. We're back to our original square, and we're going to single crochet into that chain space on the square. Now you can see that we have the first 2 legs of our cross. We're going to continue to make the 3rd side of our cross. The exact same way. I'm actually going to skip us forward to this last leg of the cross. Now you can see that we have made the first 3 spokes. I've already chained 3, but I will go ahead and get back to that last piece. Chain 3, single crochet back into the original square, and then we're going to chain 3. This time I'll have to turn this slightly. You can see we're going to have to make, instead of stopping after going 1, 2, 3 turns, we're going to actually make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 turns. It's just as simple as what we have been doing. It's just a little bit more of the same. Get my tail out of the way. Please forgive me for this video. It is the first time I've ever made a video. So after we've chained our 3, we're going to go and make 3 double crochets, chain 3 double crochets into this chain 1 space. Okay, and as you've noticed so far in this pattern, every time that you see an edge with no attachment, you're going to leave it. But if you see a line on that side, you're going to grab and continue that line. Because we see that there is no attachment on this side from the row before, we're going to chain 1 and turn. We're going to slip stitch back into that middle 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, the middle, the second double crochet. Just going to slip stitch into that, and we're going to slip stitch back into the chain 1 space, because we always want our double crochets coming out. You've got a V here with a loop, and a V here and a loop, and you want to continue that. So you've got to start them coming out of the center. I'm going to chain 1 I'm going to do my stacked single crochet. Just a single crochet and a second single crochet right on top of that, going only that left leg. So that counts as my first double crochet. We're going to do 2 more double crochets. Chain 1 and 3 more double crochets. Okay, now again, learning to look at our work and what we've done. This side, you'll notice, has the bar, the line that we're going to continue all the way up. This side is going to be left free because in the end we're going to come back and just do our slip stitches and chains to come back down that one side. So this whole side we're going to make a bar. So we're going to make a treble crochet into that chain 3 space. And that's 2 loops around the hook, yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. And then we're going to chain 3 and turn. And see that we're continuing our bar. Again, a little bit more of the same. 3 double crochets, chain 1 and 3 double crochets. I'm sorry, I keep losing my loops today. We're going to chain 1 and turn. Again, this is just our little jagged edge side. So when we see the jagged edge side, we're going to try to get back to the middle. We're going to go into that center double crochet and slip stitch into it. And then we're going to slip stitch into the chain 1 space from the row below. We're going to start the same way. We're going to do the stacked single crochet, two double crochets, chain 1, and 3 more double crochets. So looking at our work again, you can see this is the jagged edge side. This is the side with the bar. We've got to continue that bar going up. So we're going to make a treble crochet into that chain 3 space. And then we're going to chain 3. and turn our work. Now you can see we have 1, 2, 3, 4 rows. We're going to start row 5 the same way. We're going to have to, sometimes you just have to fiddle this little stitch open. 3 double crochets, a chain 1 and 3 double crochets into that chain 1 stitch, chain 1 space. And please forgive me for making mistakes. That's one thing about the cross. The cross is about forgiveness. If we just ask and repent of our sins, and that includes turning away from them, not just saying, please forgive me and let me keep making mistakes, but forgive me of my sins and help me to do a better way. Jesus did die on the cross for our sins, and he forgives us. He loves us that much that he cares for us. Again, we see the jagged edge. We're going to have to slip stitch toward the middle. Start with our stacked single crochet. Two more double crochets. A chain 1 and 3 double crochets. I'm getting my treble crochet ready to continue this line into this chain 3 space. Now you can see we have done 3, 4, 5, 6 rows. So the next row is going to be our 7th. We're going to chain 3 and turn our work. Pull open until you can see the chain space. We're going to make our last 3 double crochet chain 1 and 3 double crochet. Now all we have to do is chain 3 and slip stitch to the top of every one of these. I'm sorry, my extra little needle and thread keep jumping in the way. We'll see them soon. So we're going to chain 3. And slip stitch Again, sometimes you do have to, depending on which row it is, if it was the right side or the wrong side when you made the little corner, just twist it so you can see both pieces of the stitch, both legs of the stitch, to slip stitch under. And chain 3. Maybe this is a bit easier to see. Chain 3 and slip stitch. Chain 3. Let's see if this focuses better again. I'm having difficulties with it focusing. Slip stitch, chain 3, and slip stitch, chain 3, and slip stitch, and chain 3, you've made it all the way back around now. Just slip stitch into the top of that single crochet, and into the next chain 3 space. This is where I have made it my own in the past. Most of the time, I just opt for a simple plain edge. But you can also alternate doing single crochet, double crochet, and single crochet. You can make shells You can make picots. I've actually made another cross, and I may actually show you how to do that in another video. But I can show you different ways to embellish the edges to make it your own. But you'll notice we've started here and made the right side of the cross, and then we made the top side. So we're going to single crochet. We're going to put 3 single crochets into each chain space. And then on the edge we have 3 double crochets. We'll single crochet in each one of those. We'll open up this chain space and single crochet into that, and then make 3 more single crochets. So from here to here you'll have 7 single crochets. Then you'll come back and you'll do 3 single crochets into every chain 3 space. So let's start working on that. Actually going to chain up and make my 3 single crochets. Just go straight into the next chain 3 space and make 3 single crochets. Into the next chain space, 3 single crochets. And again, that's just 3 sets of 3. You've got your 3 rows. You've got your 3 sides of 3 rows, and then you've got your 1 side of 7. Actually going to continue until you get to the top of the cross, which you'll know when you've gotten to the top of the cross because it's opposite of the long side. I'm going to single crochet all the way around, as I've told you, into each of these 3 double crochets. Into the chain space. The next 3 double crochets. And continue straight on until you finish these 3 double crochets. I will meet you here at the top. Okay, so I've made it all the way back around to the top. I've made my 3 my 3 single crochets into the tops of my 3 double crochets, and I'm now to the very top of the cross, this very top chain 1 space. So we're going to crochet, single crochet into that space, and then we're going to make this long tassel. So in order for me to remember the number of chains that feels appropriate, I chain 33. This is 1 chain for every year of Jesus's life. Now, in the Bible, it does say that Jesus started his ministry when he was about 30 years old, and his ministry lasted about 3 to 3.5 years. So this is how we approximate Jesus's age. I'm going to continue chaining until I have made 33 chains, and I'll be right back. Okay, I now have 33 chains. And we're going to make a little loop at the top of this chain. So we're going to count backwards. And you see the top of the chain has the little V's. On the back side, we have the bumps. We're going to be using the bumps for the rest of this row. And we're going to slip stitch into the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th stitch away from the hook. The easiest way to remember this is that God made the world in 6 days and he rested on the 7th. So we're going to rest our stitch in that 7th bump on the back, and we're going to make a slip stitch. And then again, with that back side of the chain facing up, we're going to slip stitch in each one of those bumps, all the way down to the bottom. This is probably the fiddliest part of the whole cross to make. But it does look really nice. And if someone's using it to mark a passage that they want, they'll be easily able to find the tassel off of their Bible page. You don't have to take a very fast pace at this. I usually take a very slow and steady pace. I also normally pray for whoever I'm making this cross for, if I know who I'm making it for. And if not, I just pray that whoever I give it to will be blessed in some way. So you can use this slow time to meditate and pray. But while I continue all the way back down, I'll meet you back at that top single crochet. Okay, I'm back to the last 2 bumps. Just slip stitching down. And then the last slip stitch, I'm going to slip stitch into the side of this single crochet. Now I'm going to single crochet into each of these double crochets. And continue single crocheting. 3 single crochets into each chain 3 space. And sometimes when you get to these corners, it feels very awkward. So sometimes I'll just fold it behind there so that my hook doesn't get caught while I'm making the 3 single crochets. And just continue making 3 single crochets in each chain 3 space. You'll start to notice that it looks very wobbly and wonky. That's okay. Keep going. And remember Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not unto your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall make your paths straight. Well, guess what? These paths will be made straight when we finish and we block them. We don't have to start with a straight path, but realizing that God is our shepherd, our leader, our healer, our Father. This helps to make your path straight. Just having a relationship with him. Again, I'm just going to single crochet all the way around. 3 single crochets in each chain 3 space. And continuing at the bottom, we'll also make a single crochet in each of these double crochets, a single crochet into that 1 chain space, and then a single crochet into each of those 3 double crochets, and then we're back into the chain 3 spaces all the way back to the beginning. I'll see you then. Okay, now we've made it all the way back around to the top. To our starting place. And I'm just going to slip, actually I'm not going to slip stitch. I'm going to cut a longish tail, about as long as to the top of my tassel. And I'm going to pull this through. If you're like me, you can never find your needle. Someone told me once to put a piece of yarn on the end of any needle you want to keep, and you won't have trouble finding it. I try to keep a bright, light colored parked on my needle so I can find it when I need it. I'm not sure what kind of needle this is. I think it said it was a doll needle, but it seems to work well for my crosses. You can just use a regular large eye embroidery needle. If you're fantastic at threading needles, you can use a sewing needle, but this Crochet 10 thread is a little bit large for a traditional sewing needle. I'm just going to make the invisible join. These are my 3 single crochets. I'm going to go into the second single crochet under both loops from front to back. And pull it down. And then I'm going to go back into our last loop that was on the hook from front to back. And then go into the back of this first single crochet just to tuck in my yarn. And turn it over, and you can see you've got a nice invisible join. Now what I do is I thread this down the back side, just kind of weaving in and out, in through the middle of the stitches. Not actually coming up to the top, just through the back side of the stitches. I'm going to pull this toward that back ring. Just weave in my tail. I'm going to come out where that starting tail was. I'm going to make sure we're loose, because if we block it, it's going to be possibly a little bit bigger. A lot of times mine are smaller. I like to secure these well, so just going to tie a little knot here. Tie a second knot, just a double knot. And I'll thread one side of this through the top. And the other side through the bottom of that. I realized that went onto the front of there. Felt really weird. That's quite all right. We're just going to take it, go back down through the middle of that, and poke it down through the back. Your ends are woven in. And pull it tight before you trim the edges. So we've almost made it. We just need to make the actual tassel to put into this hole. So I'll show you how I make these. Also very simple. Of course, by now you all know that I like biblical numerology. I like significant numbers. I was always, loved math. It was one of my favorite subjects. So numbers I've always liked. And they're also significant to God. So I'm actually going to take this tassel. I'm going to take my ball of thread. I'm going to wrap it around my fingers. I just take my hand and I hold it at the bottom of my pinky. It overlaps a little bit, that's fine. It's, better to be a little too long than too short. And I'm going to wrap it neatly 23 times. And why? Because the 23rd Psalm is one of my favorites. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Okay. Now that you have 23 wraps, okay. I have 23 wraps. I'm just going to cut this little end. And I usually cut it a little bit longer too. Again, I like it to be a little bit longer than shorter. It just, for these purposes, it's helpful. You've got the side that has your two ends on it. And then you have the other side. I actually keep it on my hand. In the same meantime, I will press this strip flat where you've slip stitched down. If it's not exactly flat, it's fine. Everyone messes up. That's actually the beauty of Jesus. We all mess up. We all sin. There's a mess up in this one where I went from one side and started down onto the other sides of the bumps. It really doesn't matter. You can just make it work. We just ask God to forgive us of our sins and try to do better next time. He'll help us do that. So I've got this mostly straightened out. I'm going to put my crochet hook inside this chain space. And then I'm going to slide my hook under the very center of that 23 wraps of yarn. I'm gonna pull it pretty tight and try to keep it held together. And then I'm going to slide using my hook as a tool. I'm going to slide the tip of the hook into that chain space. Just basically using that to pull this whole loop through the chain space. You can see that that made a loop. I'm going to make it a little bit longer because my fingers are large and it helps me to reach through. I'm going to put these two fingers in here. See the side with the two ends. I'm just going to use those two fingers to grab that and neatly pull this over. Flip it inside out. Then all you have to do is pinch this whole wad of yarn and pull tight. And that's what the back side will look like that it's pulled through. Now all we have to do is clip our ends open. And sometimes you just have to give it a little haircut. I was not as neat with this one. Just get the edges pretty straight. Trim across. And now you have a finished cross. As I've said before, it's not going to be straight when you finish it. Well, mine's not. Yours may be. But you can... One of my favorite tricks to use for cotton crochet is to soak it in extremely hot water. It does shrink them up, but then you can stretch it back out exactly how you want it. I actually use this on my doilies as well. But it does help to straighten out all of the little nooks and crannies, help it to lay flat. If you don't have that, you want to just iron it, you can iron it. I use a straight iron sometimes. I have a straight iron that's actually dedicated only to my crochet. It heats up quickly. Cotton crochet. It's easy to block. You can straighten it out. And I hope you make a couple of these to share with your friends. Thank you for taking time to listen to my video. And I hope you make many of these crosses. I hope that this has blessed you in some way, and I hope that you can bless others. You can give one of these to a friend, a colleague, a stranger. And I ask that when you give it away, give your testimony with it. God's blessed each one of us. And it's important to share because that blesses His name. Have a good day.